This is very interesting. We now have a full month into Joe Biden's presidency, a full month out of Donald Trump's presidency. There's a new Economist YouGov poll that looked at favorability versus unfavorability for a number of the most well-known American political figures. And the key takeaway is that Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden, by almost exactly the same degrees, are the most relatively well-liked national elected officials in the United States. The poll was released yesterday. It found that 49% of Americans have a very or somewhat favorable view of Bernie Sanders, while Joe Biden has a 50% mostly or somewhat favorable view. When you look at the unfavorable, so Bernie's 49 favorable, 39 unfavorable. Joe Biden, on the other hand, is 50 favorable, 42 unfavorable. These are both essentially within the margin of error. And they tell us that right now in the United States, the most, I don't think popular is the wrong word to use. The most popular, the most well-liked, net favorable elected officials are the current president, Joe Biden, as well as Senator Bernie Sanders, the furthest left member of the United States Senate. Now, for a comparison, Vice President Kamala Harris has a slightly smaller net favorability. So net favorability is favorability minus unfavorability. Bernie at 49.39 is at plus 10. Biden at 50.42 is at plus 8. And Kamala Harris at 48 favorable, 43 unfavorable is at plus 5. Someone like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez also polled at plus 1 favorability. And that's maybe not surprising. AOC very well liked among those that like her, very much disliked among those that dislike her. Mitch McConnell, one of the least liked politicians in the country, net favorability for McConnell was minus 48, with only 17% of the country viewing McConnell favorably, 65% viewing him unfavorably. Joe Manchin, minus 11. Joe Manchin, the most conservative member of Senate Democrats, among the Democratic members of the Senate, the most conservative. And these are very interesting numbers for a few different reasons. When Donald Trump was president of the United States, he never reached 50% approval. Now, approval, remember, is different than favorability. Trump never reached 50% approval and left office with the lowest approval rating in the history of the polling era for any president. Joe Biden came in and in different polls had the highest initial approval of any president in the last 28 years. Joe Biden, with initial approval, one poll had him at 58%. Another had him at 63%, really, really high numbers. And the fact that when it comes to favorability, we are also seeing Joe Biden be one of the most well-liked American politicians tells us that these numbers, these one-off numbers, 63% approval, 69% approval on handling of COVID, 80% support for his mask. Again, to call it a mandate is a bit much, but federal mandate plus national recommendation. These are not flukes, and these are the entire package of numbers makes a lot of sense. Now, the question we have to get to is, so what? What is Joe Biden now going to do? I've been talking now we're into week 5 on COVID relief, and the belief is that we are getting closer to COVID relief. Did Joe Biden overpromise by saying checks would go out right away? Yeah, probably. But it's time to just do it. Joe Biden has the highest initial approval and one of the highest favorabilities right now of any American politician. The country mostly wants the COVID relief bill. What are we waiting for here? Given that Republicans have made it clear from the beginning their goal is only to obstruct, they proposed, instead of a $1.9 trillion package, this pathetic tiny package, $600 billion, cutting a whole bunch of the key elements of the bill out. What are we waiting for? Joe Biden has the approval rating. Joe Biden has the favorability. Joe Biden has the American people's view on COVID relief on his side. What are we waiting for at this point? It's time to do it. And I think we're just a couple of days, maybe even one day from the next Gallup tracking poll with Biden's approval. I'm curious to see where it is, but I don't know of any reason to wait any longer for just passing COVID relief via budget reconciliation. Let every Republican vote against it if that's what they want to do. I don't think they will, because they know it's popular with their own constituents. One of our sponsors today is Lucy, and they are giving my audience 20% off. Lucy is a company founded by Caltech scientists with only one mission, which is to help people quit smoking and vaping by offering a clean, affordable nicotine alternative. Now, many of you know, you've heard the stories. I've known several people in my life who have struggled with quitting smoking. I've seen how difficult it can be. And nicotine alternatives can be hugely helpful. Lucy offers a nicotine gum in 3 flavors: wintergreen, cinnamon, and pomegranate. They also have lozenges, which come in cherry ice flavor. Lucy is affordable. It'll ship right to your door. You don't have to go out to the store. Shipping is always free. You can buy single boxes or save with a subscription. It's time to throw the cigarettes away and get rid of the vape, and Lucy can make it easier. You'll find a ton of excellent reviews online from countless people who have used Lucy to quit smoking and vaping. Go check them out at lucy.co. I've put the link right underneath this video, and you'll get 20% off when you use the coupon code Pakman. And just a quick disclaimer, I'm required to give: these products contain nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.